1. The country with the most land in time zone, France. If you consider all the lands it has, the country with the most land in time is France, it covers 12 time zones. The ensuing USA covers 11, and Russia covers 9. 2. 350 sheep per man, Falkland Islands, UK. There are about 500,000 sheep on the island for 3,000 people living on the island. Needless to say, we think that the island's largest commodity is wool. 3. The country with the highest number of lakes, Canada. Over 3 million lakes cover 9% of Canada, and over 60% of all lakes in the world are located within the Canadian territory. 4. The country where you are less likely to go to sit next to the neighbor, Mongolia. Mongolia is the country with the lowest human density in the world, with 4 people per 1.5 square kilometers. To get a better understanding, let's compare this to the Mong Kok district of Hong Kong, where human density is the highest. Here the number of people per square kilometer is 340,000. 5. The country with the most tanks, Russia. Russia is the country with the largest number of tanks in its army worldwide, 21,000. However, the technology of many of them is obsolete. The US, which has 16,000 tanks, has surpassed Russia with much more advanced technology. 6. Country with no rivers on it, Saudi Arabia. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? It is unlikely to find any running water in a country with large soils such as Saudi Arabia. Drinking water is supplied from seawater treatment and groundwater sources. 7. Youngest population, Niger. Generally, the youngest country in the world is determined by calculating the population under the age of 15. Today, Niger holds this title. Almost half of the population is in adolescence, 49%. 8. The country with the most diversity in 1. India. In almost every category, cultural, economic, climatic, racial, linguistic, ethnic and religious, India is the first or second country with the most diversity in the world. 9. Fastest decreasing nation, Ukraine. With an annual natural decline in the population of 0.8%, Ukraine's population is expected to decrease by 30% between today and 2050. 10. A country, almost entirely covered with axes, Suriname. 500,000 inhabitants of Suriname, 91% of whose lands are covered with forests, live in the coastal areas of the country. Only 5% of the population, mostly locals, live in the interior. 11. The most educated people, Canada. Canada, where 50% of the population is trained beyond secondary education, is by far the most educated country in the world. Then comes Israel with 45% and Japan with 44%. 12. Desert country, Libya. Libya, which is 99% of the country covered with desert, is one of the driest places in the world, such that there has not been a single drop of rain in some parts of your country for decades. 13. Country longing for peace, Somalia. Although Iraq has captured this title for the last 3 years, Somalia does not seem to leave it easily, according to the Global Peace Index. The country with the lungs of the world, Russia. About 25% of the world's forests are found in Siberia, which is larger than the USA. These forests make Russia the largest oxygen production center in the world. 15th largest opium producer in the world, Afghanistan. 95% of opium production in the world occurs in this country. Even the fact that America has been in this country for 10 years has not reduced this production. 16. The country with the largest number of people behind the toes, USA. When it comes to imprisoning people, the United States is not leaving anyone first in this regard. Although 2.2 million people behind bars represent approximately 0.4% of the world's population, they account for 25% of the total number of people in prison in the world. China takes the second place with 1.5 million people, followed by Russia with 870,000 people.